This video, I'm going to go over the 3 phases of getting and staying sober. Getting sober is kind of using all the tips and tricks that you might use to do something like a dry January. Maybe some of you watching this have done dry January and you can see how that doesn't work as a long-term strategy. Any man particularly, we have quite strong willpower baked into us. So it goes back to kind of ancient days when we had to hunt for our food. Every man has this innate ability to hunt when they get their teeth stuck into a goal. Maybe you've experienced that with something that you've worked on. And while you're excited about it, while you're hungry for it, willpower can get you to incredible places, but it's not gonna keep you there. The real thing that we're gonna unpack in this video is the staying sober side of things. So the first phase is break the cycle. There are so many things that you do on autopilot. There are so many things that are in your subconscious that without you putting conscious thought into, you just do them, which is a really good thing, right? You might think, oh, that's a bad thing. Like, I don't know why I keep reacting that way. I don't know why I get stuck in this thought loop. But if you zoom out and think of like the process that's led you to actually think, act and behave in that way, we can use the exact same process to just rewire that to be a desired outcome. We've already nailed the system of rewiring your subconscious brain to act on autopilot, but it's just that it's been acting on autopilot in undesirable ways. The mechanism exists, the mechanism is proven. We just need to change the trigger that creates the thought loop. And then we need to break the loop so that we have a desired action instead. Breaking the cycle is this first stage of, I guess, zooming out and having awareness of what are all of these behaviors that are undesirable? What are all these thought loops that are undesirable? Where do I keep getting stuck? Where do I keep repeating the same things over and over and over again? And calling awareness to them is really like the first stage in being able to do anything about them. Like, and even maybe after watching this video and me just bringing this into your sphere of consciousness, next time you do something like that, you might be like, oh, hang on a minute, that's what Ali was talking about. And the more gaps that you can create between the loop that you recognize and the action that responds to it, the easier it is to kind of put something else in place there, right? It's almost kind of like the opposite spectrum of when you're trying to force association between things that you do want to do. And you've probably noticed this in your life. If you leave the gap longer between having a thought and when you take action, whether that is like thinking that you're going to go out for a run, thinking you're going to cook a healthy meal, whatever it might be, like just a generic good habit, the longer you leave, the longer the gap is between you having that idea and you executing on it, like the less likely it is going to happen. So again, we know that to be true. Like if I think, fuck it, I'm going to go for a run, and I just go for a run, it happens. If I think I'd like to go for a run today and I leave it too long, it doesn't happen. So the same is there on the inverse, right? If there's no gap between the thought loop and the undesirable action, then of course it's going to happen. The greater gap that we can create between you having this thought and where that thought goes from just something that is in your mind, that it doesn't actually really exist in the world in anything other than a thought to begin with. When it is just a thought, you can allow it to be a thought. You don't have to resist and fight it and wish you didn't have those thoughts. You can allow that thought, but it's just a process then of being like, okay, I'm having the thought that I want to have a drink. That doesn't actually mean I have to. I can just sit with that thought. And there's a meditation practice that I use inside my programs, which is called urge surfing. Like urges, cravings, any kind of emotion, they come and go like the waves in the ocean. I guarantee whatever you've had the most intense craving for ever in your life, you're not experiencing that right now. You can remember what it feels like to have an intense craving for something, or an intense desire to do something, but you're not feeling like that right now. Like every emotion that we experience is impermanent. There is no permanence to any of this. Like every moment that we live is constantly being renewed. When we adopt that process, or we adopt that mindset of impermanence, it actually doesn't matter how intense the feeling is in the moment. We always know that that's not true and it's not going to last, and we don't have to act on it. And I'm not saying that this is something that you can click your fingers and you will suddenly start ignoring all of your triggers. It's just calling an awareness to them for what they are. Like, it's just an intense emotion. Like, if you were to fall over right now, your knee would probably hurt, but in a week it probably won't. Like, however the most heartbroken you've ever been in the past, you don't still feel that heartbroken now. However happy you've been in the past, like the happiest day of your life, like you're not that happy right now, and like that's okay. Just calling an awareness to the impermanence of emotions is such a fucking game changer, that you can allow the intensity of whatever that experience, whatever that emotion, whatever that feeling is, without really needing to act on it. So that's the first part, and there are many things that fall within that, and I'll share with you at the end of this, or there's a link underneath this where I'll actually give you the breakdown of what our program looks like. Because if you were thinking of going onto a journey of sobriety and you wanted to do it in the same way that we do, which is kind of through the lens of high performance, like we're not just quitting drinking for the sake of quitting drinking. We're quitting drinking to make space for an awesome life. Like maybe you want to move to a big villa in Bali, or maybe you want to quit your job and do something more interesting. Maybe you have a bucket list like me of wanting to climb Mount Kilimanjaro or going skiing in Japan, whatever it might be, right? We want to create space for you to do all of these epic things and have these amazing experiences, because we have such a finite time on planet Earth as human beings. Like, why would we not want to maximize our experience? Why would we want to stay stuck in these loops? It's almost like these thought loops and these behavior loops. It's saying like, I'm fucking done. I've done that on repeat enough now. I don't want to do that anymore. I want new experiences. I want more from fucking life. And that is what this is all about, right? So if that way of getting sober appeals to you in the slightest, and I have this little moniker that I use, which is quit drinking, heal, do epic shit. If that resonates with you, if you're the kind of guy that can fuck with that and you think, yeah, that's actually what I want to do. I don't just want to quit drinking and carry on living the same life I have now. If you want to quit drinking, actually fucking heal the root so your trees are stable, and then just do some epic shit. Go and have fun, go on adventures. Join us on a men's retreat, like where we're going to go through the jungle and climb mountains. If that sort of shit resonates with you, then you're probably going to want to have a look at this structure. Whether or not you join the program, again, like it's just going to give you a framework for how you can move past your self-sabotaging habits with alcohol into something that feels a little bit more aligned, that lights a fucking fire under your balls and gets you getting your mojo and your zest for life back. So the first phase, we've been through that. It's breaking down everything. So if you imagine we bought this as an old house that needed to be knocked down, it's like phase one, just fucking bulldoze it. All your beliefs, all of your thought loops, everything that's kept you stuck, everything that is damaged, everything that you feel like you need to address, like whatever the thoughts, beliefs, actions, and behaviors are around that, break them down. Break them down without thinking about really replacing them with anything. It's just breaking them down, calling awareness to them. Phase one. Now we have the opportunity to build anything we fucking want. So phase two is about building the vision. Because when it comes to our lives, everything is in our head. Like our whole life is lived in our head. So we need to change the view in the same way that we've just changed the beliefs that we had about ourselves. We now need to enhance those beliefs with new visions, new beliefs, new possibilities. If we don't actually understand the kind of life that we want to live, the kind of person that we want to be, what we're trying to create for ourselves, for our loved ones, for our families, for the people that we lead, then it's very hard for us to stay on this path. Okay, so I mentioned about getting sober and staying sober. Like the key to staying sober is having something that sets your heart on fire, that you feel that you can really stick your fucking teeth into, and that excites you. You know, you have to be on your mission. You have to be on your purpose. If you're just coasting through life with very mediocre goals and you're sitting in your comfort zone, yeah, you might stay sober, but like, who the fuck wants to do that? That's just gonna be very, very mundane. You've created space to be fucking awesome, to do this epic shit. And epic shit isn't just, you know, extreme sports. You know, that's just me. That's just who I am as a person. Epic shit for other people is like paying off the mortgage on their mum's house. Epic shit for other people is like walking the length of the UK. Like Epic shit for other people can be all kinds of shit. I'm not going to tell you what your epic shit is. That needs to align with you. But I know, brother. I know there's a list, consciously or subconsciously. Maybe you've written it down, maybe you haven't. I know there's a list of things that you'd really like to do. And it might be that you haven't done them because you don't have time freedom, you don't have money freedom. There's going to be some level of freedom that's lacking in your life that means that you haven't done these things. And that's what we really need to fix in this bit. We almost need to create this vision that it's like, if all of that freedom I desire for myself existed, what would my life look like? Where would I be? What would I be doing? What would my day look like? And I don't really like to think of visioning as an exercise of writing down goals. They're not things that you want to have. Like, if someone showed me their vision and it said like, oh, I want to earn this much money, drive this car, live in this house, I'd be like, fuck off, you've not done this properly. The vision that you have for yourself has to be identity based. It has to give you a clear indication of the type of man that you want to become. Okay? So, it's not, I want to grow an Instagram account to have 1 million followers. That's the outcome. The identity behind that is, I want to fall in love with the process of creating content and understand from a human psychology point of view how I can connect deeply and emotionally with people that watch the videos that I create, so that they can have a lasting impact on those people's lives, and they think they resonate so much that they want to share them with people that they hold dear to them. That is fucking so much more powerful than just saying, I want to have 1 million followers. Fuck your 1 million followers. Have an impact. There is a different way of creating a vision for your life that can actually feed into an identity of a person that you get excited about becoming. Otherwise, you're just going to be looking at a list of goals, and maybe you've experienced this before. Maybe you've reached some pretty wild goals that you set for yourself. Maybe it was an income goal. Maybe it was, I don't know, something in your business, something in your career, something in fitness. Like I've done all these things before, and as soon as you hit the goal, like you feel kind of shit. Like I had a goal to run a sub 20 minute 5K. I ran it in 19 minutes 39, and the day after I was just like, okay, now what? It didn't really fully align with anything. Like I had a goal to hit a revenue number, and then you hit it and you're like, so what? Because it wasn't linked to the identity that I wanted to have. Whereas now there are goals that I have fulfilled which were so identity based. Like, for example, the way I live my life and the time freedom that I have over my diary. Like, that was a vision that I had for myself. I was like, I wanted to be financially free and time free, so that I could run a business in something that I was deeply passionate about without it governing my day to day, so that I would still have time and space for the things that fill my cup up. I want to be that kind of man. I said to myself a couple of years ago, I want to be that kind of man. I want to earn good money. I want to have fun doing what I'm doing. I want to work with clients that deeply align with me. Like, that's the kind of life that I want to live. I want to have fun with the people that I work with. I want them to be on board with my mission. And I don't want to feel like I'm a slave to the business that I'm in. I want to bring people into that business that deeply align with me as well. And those things have started to happen because it was so much more of a vision than I just want to have a coaching company that does 6 figures a month. It's like, all right, fine. Who doesn't? Like, you know, what does that actually mean? So we have to have this process of deep visioning. Deep visioning. That's part 2. Part 1, break everything down, break the cycles. Part 2, build the vision. And then part 3 is the ugly bit. Part 3 is doing the fucking work. You have to become him. It's all great having your vision boards, having your visions written down, having your life manifesto, doing your life architecture. We do all of that stuff inside the program, but you've done 2/3 of the work. All 3 of these parts are equally as important as each other. I'm not going to say one carries more weight than the other because it's a process. But at the end of that process is where you have to roll your sleeves up and start making some real fucking changes in your life. At the end of that process, the end third of this process is really, really, really believing in the work that you've done in those first two processes, believing that you can and have broken those cycles, believing in the vision that you've created of the man that you want to become, even though you're not him yet. And now part 3 is actually going about your day-to-day life in a way that is going to lead you to become that man. So it's, okay, the vision is the vision. What are the actions that bring me closer to that vision? And what's a framework I can use to get me close to that? And one that we use is change, which is a process that I created. It's actually the process which I'm writing a book about at the moment. And it's an acronym. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll hold it up. Change, right? So if you want to change anything about your life, the first place is the challenge. Challenge, number 1. So you have to accept the challenge that you're facing in 2 ways. First of all is the acceptance of the situation that you're currently in. And then the second part of the challenge is actually make it into a challenge. Give yourself a deadline and an outcome that is going to happen by a certain time, like a 30-day challenge, a 21-day challenge, a 90-day challenge, whatever it is. And then the H, habits. What are the habits that you need to do that you are currently not doing, or habits that you need to get rid of that are going to help you complete that challenge, right? And then once you know what they are, accountability. How are you going to be held accountable to actually do those habits? And that falls into 2 camps. You need to be accountable to yourself, and you also need third-party accountability. So inside our program, we have accountability coaches that will keep their fucking eye on you. But you also need to be accountable to your coach, yourself, because your accountability coach doesn't live with you 24/7. Like, they won't know if you slip off and do something that you shouldn't do, or you don't check in. Like, you know, they can't do it for you. You need to have a process of being accountable to yourself, which, again, we cover all of this inside the program. N, this often gets overlooked. Negativity. There is inevitably going to be some level of negativity. There are going to be things that are going to go wrong. There are going to be things that could take you off track. There are going to be events, people, circumstances that could fuck this up for you. Things that are outside of you, or things that are inside of you, like those old patterns could crop back up, right? So the more you can have an awareness before you even start of everything that could fuck this up, and you write them down, you exhaust them down, like write all of them down, and you have a plan for what to do when they happen. When they inevitably come up, you already know what to do. You're not flapping in the wind, being like, fuck, man, like, this thing's just happened, and like, it's like, no, it's cool. I kind of planned for this. I knew this was going to happen. So this is like damage limitation before the damage actually comes in. And then the G, goals. What are the goals, the little milestones that you need to set yourself on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? Like, what are those little milestones that you need to work towards and be held accountable for, right? And then the last part is E, enjoyment. How are you going to make this fun? It's hard to stick at something that you really don't like doing. It's really fucking hard to continually, day in, day out, engage in shit that you hate. And don't get me wrong, like, I think all of our inner David Goggins likes a little bit of suffering, and I am all for that. I am all for self-selected suffering. I've run ultra marathons. I've done lots of disgusting things that have put me in the hurt locker before. But when we're looking at behavioral change, sustainable behavioral change, if you don't like what you're doing to become who you want to be, then I would argue that you don't really want to be that person, because you don't enjoy doing the things that are creating that person. There has to be some level of fun in it, whether that is within the accountability and the habits, maybe that's some level of like friendly competition, like with your friends. I do that all the time. I've got some boys coming around here tonight for a sober boys night. I've got a fridge full of meat and coconuts, and we're gonna have a barbecue, and we're gonna talk about some of the challenges that we're facing in our lives and what we're going to do about them. And then we're going to have a WhatsApp group, and we're going to hold each other accountable, and we're going to create a game out of it, and there's going to be a scoreboard, and whoever's at the bottom of that scoreboard is going to have to buy dinner for everyone. Like, there are ways to make this fun. There are ways to make this social. There are ways to make this enjoyable. It doesn't have to be some boring fucking thing that you're away grinding during your winter arc to kind of emerge as this new character. Like, that's just a bit of a fairy tale. The reality of this is, if you can't make this enjoyable, it's going to be really hard to make it stick. So this is one of the models that we use within that third part of, like, how am I actually going to do this? Okay, I know who I'd like to become. How do I actually become him? And that is the process that we go through. Those are like the 3 main chapters, like breaking the cycle, building the vision, becoming the man. And there are, you know, lots of protocols that we have within those 3 phases of what this transformation would look like for you. And like I said, I've smashed that on a link below, so you can download that framework and watch a little video about how that program works. See if it aligns with you in any way, shape or form. If it doesn't, I'm still going to keep showing up on YouTube. I'm still going to keep showing up on Instagram. I'm still going to keep cooking up. You can even see, I'll show you here, I've got, like, this is all my ideas of other things and tools that I'm going to bring to you. So I'm still going to keep showing up for you, whether or not you join our program. But obviously, the guys that do come into the program, they get more access to me, they get more access to my coaches, they get far more tools, they get far more support, and they just get far quicker results. So if you're the kind of guy that values a roadmap and all of the tools that you need to execute on that, and expert coaching, support and accountability, and reaching your goals faster, then yeah, come and check us out. Particularly if you're the kind of guy that wants to quit drinking, heal, and do epic shit. If those 3 things sound like, you know, if you could fast forward like a year from now and you're like, yeah, I've quit drinking, I feel like I'm on my journey of healing and I've done some pretty awesome shit, then I reckon we'd have fun. Click that link, see if it aligns. If not, I'll see you back here on another video soon.